Oh my God, I haven't thought about this like undergrad robotic
Yeah.
team in so long.
This is why you're on technical rigor, baby. I'm Lizzie Nielsen. I spent my engineering career leading complex projects in healthcare and beyond, all while constantly learning and trying to stay human along the way. But there was a moment earlier in my career when someone told me I didn't have enough technical rigor. What does that even mean? And turns out I wasn't alone in that kind of experience. I've met so many women in STEM and other industries who've been made to feel the same way. Brilliant people with great instincts, deep skills, and real impact, still feeling like they're one misstep away from being seen as not enough. So I started this podcast to change that story. Welcome to Technical Rigor. Turns out, we've got plenty. Today, I'm joined by Shimon, a senior electrical engineer who has spent her nearly decade-long career in medical device development. Her rigor can be found in science, technology, engineering, and math, spanning all four realms of STEM. And you can probably catch her singing along to Brandy Carlisle on her way to the office. I am so excited that you're here, Megan.
Thank you for having me, Lizzie. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, of course. Okay, so what is going on both like at and outside of work for you?
Well, at work, I've been on a new project for the last 6 months that's going to be really impactful, and I'm excited about that.
So very typical for engineering, it seems.
Yes, very typical. And then outside of work, I've got a toddler. She is 19 months old. Very fun.
Gosh.
Starting to have lots of opinions, which is it's good and bad. I saw this quote that was like, I want to raise a strong, independent daughter, but sometimes it's really hard to raise a strong, independent daughter.
Right.
It's just a toddler still. So I'm sure I've got a lot of fun times ahead.
What is something that she's had a particularly strong opinion about lately?
Well, she hates vegetables of all varieties.
Yeah, totally. Been there. So for work, can you talk a little bit about the team that you're on currently and then the work that you have been doing on this team?
So I got put on this project like 6 months ago. And it's been interesting because this is a big part of the new, like, program we're releasing,
Mhm.
and now we have, like, almost 20 people on this project. It's been interesting because we've had people get ramped up very quickly.
Right. When you were getting ramped up on it, like what was the most helpful thing for you to get up to speed?
Well, when someone actually just, like, took me to the lab and was like, "This is this, this is this, this is this."
Right, like looking at the actual physical prototype and seeing it.
And then I also just needed to, like, time to actually sit down and poke through the code, understand the structure.
Yeah.
It was just time to actually, like, get your mind wrapped around what is this part of the product, because, like, an MRI system is actually incredibly complicated,
Mhm.
and there are quite a few different subsystems under this one big product.
Right.
For the first, like, 6 years of my career, I worked exclusively on the transmit chain.
Oh.
So an MRI works by creating an RF signal and shooting it into your body, literally RF, like radio frequency.
Yeah.
And then all of the protons in your body stand up straight to fall back into alignment, and the receive chain catches that. But every subsystem is its own separate little entity of this one big product. So I had not touched the table at all, ever, until about 6 months ago.
Oh.
Before that, I got thrown onto the receive chain. So it's been interesting working on these in the last year, basically 3 different projects that all have their own opmex standards, things like that.
That is interesting. So, uh, at least going to this current team, what's been the biggest change in that like work style and like workflows that you mentioned?
Before this, I was on smaller teams, so it was me and 2 other people doing digital specific stuff and code merge for our hardware. And now with this team with so many people, we are having to be really strict about how we manage the merges because with so many people, we have to really take into account not getting things overwritten. That's been
Right.
a challenge.
Yeah, so like rev control is a big thing.
Yes, and, like, we've always had rev control, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
All that is to say is it's like when you look at your software, they have these, like, tools that can handle all their merges really well, and they just always pull a fresh checkout and build it, and it doesn't matter, and it does matter for us.
Absolutely.
And And that's something that, like, I find is hard to communicate to, like, more junior engineers on the team until they've experienced it.
That makes me think about all of those lessons in our careers where you did kinda have to learn the hard way.
I remember being a really junior engineer and going, "Why do I have to, like, comment this? I understand what it does."
Mhm. Totally.
And I didn't comment it. And then I'm looking at my code a year later, and I'm like, "What idiot wrote this? What is this supposed to do?" I'm like, "I don't know, I just, like, well, I should have just written it down.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is what it does,"
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And that's something, like, you kinda I feel like is a rite of passage for anybody doing any sort of code development or even, like, when you're documenting. I am a big proponent of verbose documentation, like, please go into detail about how this works.
Yes.
We can skim it if we have to, but don't skimp on your explanation because
Exactly.
someone else is probably gonna be the one looking at this, and they're gonna be cursing your name if you don't actually describe in detail.
It's so true. It's so true. If you can't remember, somebody else who didn't write it or do it, they're definitely
Yes,
not gonna
very smart.
remember. But yeah,
So
so
that's
much of that is learned through experience for sure. Also with the rev control, I remember at my product design jobs, we had to be really cognizant for the 3D CAD software we're using. Does the client use SolidWorks 2014 or are they in 2015? Because
God.
it's not backward compatible. So like
That
right if
is honestly the
and
worst. I have had so many experiences with that kind of
yes.
thing, and
Yes, and I totally had a moment, I'm like I was at a new firm, and it was the first project I was on, and I had accidentally saved the master foundation model, like, in the advanced SolidWorks, and I literally had to redo the entire thing. It was
no.
so painful, but I never made that mistake again. One of the other things I wanted to definitely dive in with you about, I'm just always so impressed whenever I meet an electrical engineer because being mechanical, I can see the things that I design. And how do you do your job when you can't see?
I'm working on code that makes the table move in and out and go up and down. I'm like, "Oh my god, I actually see the result," because previously it's literally been creating an RF signal. You can't see that,
Yep.
you can't feel that. I mean, we simulate a lot, though.
Right.
That's what you do,
Yes.
to make sure your stuff is working properly. But it's been kind of fun to actually see physical real world stuff on something I'm working on, like real world
Right.
action.
It's like the fruits of your labor.
Yes, it, like, reminds me of when I'm gardening and I actually see plants grow. "Oh, I can actually see this table move." It's kind
Exactly.
of fun.
Exactly. Well, and that's
Yeah.
so interesting you say that because you started the robotics team at the University of Alabama.
Did it. Yes. They had one. They had an incredibly highly competitive one that if you
Oh.
wanted to join, you committed 35 hours a week or something
Oh my,
ridiculous.
that's a
And
full-time
it was
job.
like a job. But we did not have was a fun robotics team or one for more people like at entry level trying to get in. My school did have a robotics team
Yes.
before I created this one, but it was just the ones that had were like if you had an interest in this, you had to go really all or nothing.
Totally.
And I kind of feel like extracurriculars should be extracurricular, not a full-time job.
Totally. And so for who joined that robotics team that you started, was it like a mix like a 50-50 mix of men and women? What was the makeup
Well,
of
I
it?
mean, no, because we had I was one of 5 women in my electrical engineering degree. So,
Right, what am I even talking about?
no, but I was friends with a lot of the guys in my class, and so we started that together,
Totally.
and it was fun. We made, like, these little robots that, have a photo detector on it, so it could follow a line and had to make decisions to get through a maze, basically.
That's so cool.
So, it was, like, one of the projects we did, and it was fun. I had been in electrical engineering, but all I had done was class projects, and I hadn't had a interesting, fun, full project yet, so that was why I wanted to
Totally.
do it.
Yes. So tell me about, did you always know you were going to do engineering?
No. So, fun fact, when I was about 9, I told my dad I would never be an engineer because my dad is an engineer, and he was always he was a chemical engineer at a chemical plant, and they had take your kid to work day, and he took me. And they had fun projects for us, and then they had time for you to shadow your parents. My dad's job was so boring looking.
My dad's did, it looks so boring too.
Was like, "It's that he did spreadsheets all day long and, like, these flow control diagram," and I'm just like I remember he had a whiteboard in his office and a bunch of markers, so I spent, like, 2 hours just drawing a big drawing on his whiteboard, which he apparently kept up for a long
It's
time, which
really
is sweet.
sweet.
Yeah, But I'm like, this isn't really fun for me to follow you around, Dad. But he also had to get some stuff done before he could leave and
Right.
take me out to lunch or whatever. So,
Can I share my story of going to work with my dad
yes,
too?
absolutely.
So, I feel like it wasn't really this way, but the way my like kid brain like remembers it or experienced it, like so he was in this office. So he worked at a product design firm, and it was in this like two-story building at the time. And so all the engineers were downstairs in like the base, well, like the basement where it's half underground, but then there's windows at ground
Oh,
level.
yeah, yeah, I know what you
So it just
mean.
felt very dark, but also, the stereotypical engineer probably just loves being in the dark and not around people. But then the upper level was the studio where all the industrial designers were, and it's very open and there's drawings everywhere, like actual design sketches trying to figure out something. But I just remember being down, like shadowing my dad, and it's essentially watching him model something on a computer, which like I know I sound like a jerk because I mean in the 90s, I mean it was still like revolutionary what he was
Yeah.
doing. And I now doing like since I've spent
But
a
as a
decade, but as a
kid,
kid, I was like,
uh,
this is so slow. I'm like, what's happening? Whereas everything just felt so much more energetic and like literally bright because there were bigger windows. And so I was like, can I go hang out
well,
with the industrial designers? Like that seems way cooler.
that's
And yeah,
hilarious.
I clearly learned to appreciate what he did since I followed in his
Yeah.
footsteps of both mechanical engineering and doing product design. But anyway, just had to share that. Sometimes take your kid to work day doesn't always put engineering in the
It was
best light.
backfired a little bit.
Yeah.
I maintained that I wasn't gonna be an engineer for quite a long time, honestly,
Yeah.
until my dad came up with that, list of, like, careers and college majors and salaries. And also, like, what I would and all of my aptitude tests, like, that you did were like, "Oh, you should do engineering or, like, physics." And I was like, "I wanna go read books. Can I is there a job
Yeah.
where you can pay me to, like, read a novel,
Yeah. Yeah. Like
please?"
that would be super superb. Thank you.
I'd be really great at that.
Yeah.
Um, so, um, then I was like, "I'll be practical," but I started in mechanical engineering in my undergrad
Oh my gosh. I'm just,
for all of, like, 2 months.
oh, okay. Okay. But still, you tried it.
I did try it, and really what it was well, I did attend this really interesting lecture on electricity and magnetism, and I was like, "This seems
Ooh.
really cool." And then I also hate chemistry,
Yeah.
have always hated
Yeah.
chemistry, and electrical, I had to do 2 less credits of chemistry.
That's
So
important. Okay, but also
so
why, like, it's not even just engineers, but why are magnets so cool? Like, they just are. They're just the best.
they are, they're really cool. I mean, it's this, like, unseen, like, force that just attracts things to it, and,
Yes.
like, I don't know, I guess something primal in us is just like, "What
Right.
this is cool."
Exactly. How
Yeah.
does this work? Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Okay, so you went to this really cool lecture and then you're like, all right, maybe electricity is where it's at.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much. And I was literally in my, like, entry level 101 classes, so it was not hard to switch at that
that's
point.
good. So then you switched directly to electrical. And then you
Yeah.
also minored in mathematics. What had you decide to do that?
Well, with electrical engineering, it was 1 more credit
Oh,
to be have a minor in math. And I really like math. Math was actually always my favorite class. I
yes.
like the logical structure of it. I find a lot of satisfaction in solving a concrete problem with solid solution.
Totally. You're like, I can do
And
this, no problem.
pretty much and now I get to have a minor in math.
Exactly.
I considered doing a little major in it, but engineering was a lot. I didn't need a full double major.
You're like, I'm so good. And then I know
Yeah.
you were also involved in SWE, the Society of Women
I was
Engineers.
very involved in
Yes.
SWE, yes. So Alabama had like a really active chapter of SWE, which was fantastic. So it was really interesting. The majors at Alabama were very, very different, like for the ratio of men to women. Chemical engineering was 50-50 men, women.
Oh, that
Um,
is interesting.
Electrical engineering was like, I think 7% women. It was an insanely low ratio. I
Mhm.
remember what it was.
Mhm.
Mechanical was maybe like 20%
Yeah.
women. Um, and like it was varied. Like chemical had the most, electrical had by far the least. Um, So I love swe because I met a lot of female friends.
Totally.
Like the guys in my classes were largely pretty great, but it was just nice to be around other women.
Oh, 1,000%. Yes. Yes. And even just at that
Yes.
point in undergrad, it's like I'm noticing that I'm a small percentage of who's in the room now. At least for
Yes.
me, I feel like that was my first time really thinking about it or being cognizant of it. Cause like in high
Yeah.
school, it just felt like 50. I mean, right?
Yeah, high school is pretty much 50-50 for everything. Maybe skewed a little bit one way or another, but it was very interesting going into college and sitting in these lecture halls. My first year was all the one-on-one classes and stuff. It wasn't that skewed yet.
Mhm.
But then my sophomore year, I remember looking around and being like, all right,
Yeah,
this is fine.
totally. Totally.
But it was a very interesting experience, especially growing up with a sister and a lot of female cousins, just being around women a lot
Mhm.
to go to being around like men all the time.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
but
And so,
you know,
what were like just having those connections within SWE, what were some of the other experiences being involved with that were really impactful for you?
well, for me, the biggest thing that I'm really grateful to SWE for were the national conferences.
Yeah.
So my chapter was like big enough that we have sponsors for SWE. They would take 25 women to the SWE national conferences every year.
Oh, that's
And at these
great.
conferences, there was a major career fair, which
Mm,
is how I got my job at GE.
mhm.
It's how I got several of my internships because I actually had 3 internships at 3 different companies because I really wanted to try out different things.
Yeah, I mean, that's the time to
Uh,
do it, right? Yeah.
it is. And so like a lot of that was through SWE. And there were all these very interesting lectures on ways to advocate for yourself in the workplace. And I found them very valuable experiences. But probably the most valuable was the career fair. Alabama had a career fair, but it was very local to Alabama.
Yeah.
And I'm not even from Alabama. I didn't want to stay in Alabama.
Right, yes.
Um, so it was good and ultimately led to me getting my job moving up here, meeting my husband, having my daughter. So it was very impactful in a way. Like
Very
when you think about
impactful.
it with the a butterfly flaps its wings, right?
Exactly right.
Like, I joined SWE, and now I'm here in my life, and if I hadn't, I'd
Yeah.
be somewhere very different.
So then walk me through how your career has grown throughout the different roles that you've had.
Yeah, so it's been I joined GE as an Edison, and when you're an Edison, it's a rotational program, so you try out a couple different things, but I actually stayed in the same department for my rotations, um,
Yeah.
and rolled off early into MR. Um, and then I was like, I was on a really good team. I really liked it. I stayed pretty much on that team.
It's really just about the environment and the people that you're around and to have a day-to-day where you're at a minimum, it's a neutral. Like you're not worse for wear going into work. Like that is worth so much.
I've had some very great managers in my career and some not so great managers. And a really great manager is worth their weight in gold. 'Cause like when I talk about what I want to do with my career and my development, you're actually listening and maybe trying to steer my projects and my development in that direction. You're going to get the best work out of me
Yes.
and I'm gonna feel so much happier and more valued. Like, and I understand there are business priorities. You can't always do that, but to even have my manager communicate to me, like, I hear that that's what you want to do. We have to finish this project, and then the next one, I'm gonna like really try and get you in that direction. I'd feel so respected and listened to.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. And it's interesting too with the with talking about our pay because I was over a decade into my career before I asked for my first raise, which is not that's not what you should do. You should do the complete opposite of
yeah,
what I have done. Um, and luckily I had a really amazing manager at the time and not only that, but his director was incredible and they absolutely advocated for me in the rooms that I'm not in. But I had full trust that they were going to do everything they could um, to make me as whole as possible. And even if they couldn't do it or if they also felt disappointed in where it landed, they would have made sure I was valued in different ways, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I've asked for promotions. I haven't asked for just a raise.
okay.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I can't fault you for that because it took me a
yeah,
while to do that too.
yeah. I guess I should think about that, but I got promoted semi recently,
Hmm.
and
Yes, you wait, finger
yeah.
snaps for that.
Mm.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. Once you do it, it doesn't feel as scary for the future times that you need to do that. And, I asked for my first raise in a role that I was already in. But then it
uh-huh.
gave me the confidence for when I left that role and came to the company that I now work at. Like that was also then the first time I negotiated a job offer too. Like I'd never negotiated a job offer either. Again,
Yeah.
don't be like that, listeners. Always negotiate your job
Yeah.
offer.
You're giving me some really good things I need to actually
And
think about.
for my first job, I was there for over 7 years, and so there was
Mm.
always the merit and like cost of living adjustment. Being in that in a younger mindset, I always thought like, well, I could never ask for more than that. Like that's what I'm given. Again, these are like
Yeah.
things I was telling myself. I definitely had a great manager there who would have heard
Mhm.
me, but it was my own, I guess, immaturity that just was like, well, I should even just be grateful to have this job because this is my first job out of college and like they didn't have to hire
Yeah.
me. Like, right, all the things where you talk yourself out of it. So yeah. And
You're giving some great points of consideration here that I need to take into account.
okay, perfect. Yeah. Well, and
Um,
any job, no matter what, always the ups and downs. So, like, what have been some of your highest ups, and what have been some of your toughest downs?
I will say like when we got the first like board I'd really worked on and owned, when we got that released and out into a product, that felt really great.
Yeah.
That was exciting. I was like, "Oh my god, it's finally out there." Because I joined the team. I joined on a like an ATD or an advanced technology development project. And so like I was working on something for several years before we ever actually got it in the product because it was a new thing, which was a very
Right.
cool experience.
That is so
Um
cool.
and finally getting it out there was like, "Oh my god, this is great."
Yeah.
Um
That is huge because
Mhm.
those can last years in and of themselves.
Like it did.
And then a new product development type project also can take years. So it's not just something
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I saw it through and then it was out in a year. It's like, no, it was years in the making.
It was years.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it was really exciting to get that out there. It felt really good. Um, and then lows have probably been when I, like, very suddenly got pulled off a project I was excited to work on, and they were like, "Megan, go solve it." And I did,
Of
but
course
that
you
was very
did.
stressful.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting. I came back from maternity leave, and my perspective of work shifted a little bit after that. And I feel like I've had less ups and downs since coming back. Maybe because work is no longer the most important thing in my life.
Yeah. That's huge. I'm almost thinking of like a sine wave. It's like the amplitude is just not as
Yeah.
tall.
I think some of that is probably because when you're dealing with like a crying newborn and the sleepless nights and all the stress of that, like, it's just like, okay, we'll figure it out.
Totally.
I'm not going to get worked up about this. I don't have the energy to or the bandwidth, and it's
Yes.
not worth We're going to get through it at work. It's just work. I think it's actually made me a better engineer because I am more like, we're just going to get this done without drama,
Yeah.
please.
It just really it helps you see what's actually important today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even being able to suss out like, okay, there's another detail that is important, but like we will get there after X, Y, and Z happen. Like, I'm glad we're talking about
Yeah.
it, but we don't have to sit and churn around it right this moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a lot less likely to churn at work than I used to be.
Mm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with motherhood and like, you just have to prioritize things.
Hmm.
And I think it's helped. Mhm.
So then since becoming a mom, like what helps you get out of the churn?
I mean, you just can't sit in a churn. Like, that's not an option. You just have to make a decision and move forward.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's not the perfect decision, and then you can pivot afterwards. Vivian had a night where she was sick and she was puking all over me, and I was trying to
Oh,
decide, like, what am I supposed to do? Do I put her in the bath again? So you just have to make a decision and move forward.
yes.
And if you sit in the churn, you're
So
all
wait,
just more
now I
numb.
kind of love that there's like, well, if you sit in the churn, you're just going to get covered in puke.
Yes. Yes. That is
I'm going to
true.
make you a cross stitch to put up at your desk that says that.
Oh my gosh, I will hang that up.
I love that. So
Uh,
even in so okay, but I love how you talked about how things have just changed, since becoming a
yeah.
parent. But even thinking at times
Mhm.
before that when things were hard, was there ever a time where you thought about either like really wanting to leave your role, leave the company, leave engineering as a whole? Like, has it ever gotten to that level for you?
For a long time, I was very happy being just like an individual contributor, technical person. Um, and before, I didn't even think about leaving engineering or anything like that before Vivian. Since having her is actually when I've started thinking about like, what do I actually want to do and accomplish in my career? There's so much value to being an individual contributor and like doing the pure technical work. But I wanna move to where I can start making some of these decisions at a slightly higher level. So that's where since having Vivian that I've thought about, do I wanna pivot my career a little bit and go into not a non-technical role, but a less, like, pure technical role.
Yes. Yes. That makes sense.
Mm.
If you could design your own role right here and now, what would that look like?
Oh, what a question. I don't know.
Joke's on you.
I
This is
honestly don't
actually an interview. No, I'm kidding. A job interview.
know. I guess I'd want something where I could still, like, get my hands on the technology a little bit, do some work, have say in some of the technical decisions, but also have something where I am looking at things at more of a high level. Understanding like why we're making these decisions, like and contributing to the why of these decisions rather than just being the person like, okay, we're gonna do this now. It's the next project. You go do that.
Right.
I want to be somewhere where I can be like contributing to this is what we're gonna do.
Exactly.
Uh
So more on the strategy side of it.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes, more of a strategic role, that kind of thing.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Right. I mean, hey, you're only a decade in, you have more decades to go, which is both
Oh.
great and not. I know. I thought it was going to sound a lot nicer when it came out of my face. No, no, no. I've had a girlfriend tell me careers are long and winding. That sounds better than like you have decades ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know we're close to wrapping up. So, if you had either a girlfriend or a colleague come up to you and say like, "Hey Megan, like I'm kind of thinking that engineering is not for me." What would you say to them to encourage them to potentially stay?
It's interesting because I did have this conversation. One of my high school best friends, love her to death, we're still good friends to this day. Um, she really didn't know what she wanted to do when we like first got into college. And I was going into engineering and she went into it as well and hated it so much. And she called me up and she was like, I don't really know if I want to do this. I don't, and I'm like, I told her, I was like, "You have one life, like, you don't have to be an engineer. You're incredibly creative. Like, if this isn't something you wanna do, like, let's sit down and look for other options because I don't want anybody to force themselves into something." But she was miserable in engineering. She was hating it. She was trying to force herself to do it because she didn't really know what else she wanted to do. She's since pivoted. She's, like, a brand like, the head of the entire marketing division at a brewery now, doing
What?
super well for herself.
Amazing.
She's super artistic. Um, so, like, that was a good decision for her. But if it was someone who was, like, in my classes really wanted to do this, or someone I worked with who really wanted to do this, then I'd ask, like, "What is, making you why do you not want to? And, like, what can we change if this is the path you wanna stay in?" Like,
Yeah.
if it's, like, someone being an asshole to you and that's why you think you wanna leave,
Mhm.
no, we're gonna get rid of the asshole,
Yes.
you know?
Exactly.
Um
We will help you manage
Or
the
if it's just a
asshole.
confidence
Yeah,
thing. If it's just a confidence, like, we're gonna boost your confidence somehow. Like, this is not like you can do this. Like, I know less intelligent men than you who are doing it just fine. So,
totally.
you know.
Yes. Yeah,
So it really depends on like the person and like why they would want to leave in that situation.
completely. No, you're totally right, and especially, yeah, getting at the heart of like what's making you feel this way.
Yeah, so, like, there's no one answer to that.
Exactly.
It really depends on the individual situation.
Totally. Totally. And I love to ask too, like, what or who is inspiring you these days? Like, whether it's someone you follow on social media, just something you're loving watching or listening to lately, something you've
Oh,
done
man.
as a hobby.
Well, I love gardening, so getting back into that is always inspiring, just to getting out of, like coming from the South, winter is miserable,
Yes.
and so, like, when spring comes, I just feel so much happier getting
Oh,
outside. I've got my seeds started, so that's, like, inspiring my soul.
totally.
In terms of inspiring people, I have a lot of, like, friends who are making, like, big career moves right now, and it's inspiring to see that happening. It's making me feel like, "Okay, I'm not stuck where I am. I can make moves and advocate for myself." So, like, seeing several of those friends, some of them colleagues, like, actually, go after what they want has been very inspiring
That
as well.
yes, that is so inspiring, so inspiring. And I want to add too, like, how great is it that, especially with colleagues, that it's, people you're supporting one another because, right, like,
Yes.
I think we all know that there can sometimes be those relationships where maybe it feels more tenuous or it's almost like a competition.
Mhm.
And so, like, just so wonderful that you're a person and the people that you work with are those kinds of people that, like, you're building each other up rather than tearing
Yeah,
down in
that's
these.
something that I have really valued, like, a lot of the women I have met at work really do their best to uplift each other,
Mhm.
and, like, help us advocate, like, I'm the head of the MR Women's Network, and we do a lot of, like, things where we're, like, as a group, trying to support and inspire each other,
Yes,
so I've seen a lot
absolutely.
of that. That's one of the things I do love about GE. We have, like, really great women at GE.
Yeah.
And men too, like
Well, exactly. Yes. Yes, we really do. And yes to the men as well. Wonderful. What gives you hope about the future of STEM and the workplaces that we work in?
I do still see, like, young women, young engineers coming into the industry and, like, really, like, being good at what they do, being passionate, and, like, seeing these people, like, these women fresh out of college, like, taking those risks and, like, putting their best foot forward does give me hope because, like, that's you know, um, we're not moving backwards, and I'm seeing them, like, push us forward.
Yes, it's so true. Like, right, I feel like we're in that generation where, like, we're not gonna let it go backwards. We're propelling this forward.
Yes.
Awesome. Ah, Megan, thank you so much for taking time out of a school night
Thank you for
to
having
talk
me.
with
This was
me.
really fun.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
No, this is wonderful. So again, thank you for being on Technical Rigor and for just being such an amazing woman in STEM and everything beyond being a woman in STEM.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Of
Really
course.
appreciate this.
Yay! Thank you so much for listening to Technical Rigor. Follow us at Technical Rigor, and if you have any comments, suggestions, or people we should interview, please email us at technicalrigor@gmail.com. If you liked what you heard, please like, rate, review, and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Oh, and like Vivian can be a special guest star too. Not to She doesn't
Yes.
have to be an engineer, but she can be inspired.
Yeah, she's doing really great things with blocks these days, so
Ah,
we'll see.
okay, well, and as a mechanical, that is like after my own, or civil, I should say, or civil.
I mean, her dad is a mechanical
It's
engineer,
true.
so, like,
That's so true.
she might be going over the dark side of mechanical, but
This has been a 2Max production.